I just found out that a girl got killed here last week.
How about it, you creeps, you lunatics, mental defectives?
I'm so glad that I see you after 5 years, that you were in Greece for our festival.
It's good. It's good to see you again. You're looking great. Looking like you're getting ready for another one this year. You've got a great festival ahead of you. A lot of great films.
Really? Really? You enjoy the films this year?
I've screened a few of them, and they're great. The work is good.
You see, there is talent. There is a new talent in the film industry, and mostly it is independent. It is this talent doesn't come from the studios anymore. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. There's so many good ones in there that they're all top quality. In the old days, there was a few of them were pretty bad in any festival, but they're getting better. And worldwide, I think the competition is proving to make films better all overall. Competition does that. But you attract some very, very fine films, and people are going to enjoy it this year, I'm sure.
Thank you very much for this critique. It's very important what you tell us about the selection of the festival. And don't forget that the films that compete in the Golden Aphrodite Award for the category and award is their first feature film. So it is very important for all these people to have such a critique in general terms from you.
I was very happy to see that we have China this year again, and they always seem to send us some very good material, and all the stories are great. They're very some excellent camera work in some of them, and that's always encouraging, and very well acted as well. So it's I'm very encouraged about this year's pictures, the ones that I've seen so far.
Thank you. So Bill, I would like to share with us some of your wisdom. What is the difference between 50 years ago or 40 years ago or 30 years ago in cinematography than now? It's not only the equipment. Do you think there is also a difference in the technique in cinematography? What is your opinion?
Well, the truth of the matter is that there is no difference. That may sound odd, but the truth is that the composition is universal. The better your sense of composition in a picture is what makes the picture attractive to you or not. And so the cinematographer that is composing the picture has to have a sense of composition that comes from his own personality. That means what he actually has had to do or should do, and some have and some haven't, is study the good paintings, the great compositions of the greatest works of art that he can find. And they're easy to find if you go to the museum and study them. But it isn't a matter of copying the good compositions. It's a matter of getting a feeling for what good composition is, and then having it run through your own personality. The individual photographer has a personality and a feeling, and will like some compositions better than others. And this is what makes the difference in the photography. It doesn't matter whether it was done on film or electronic. It's through some kind of a camera. No matter how new, different it may be, you're still up against the same sense of composition. And it's the ability of the photographer to respond to that moment, and which is quite different if he's holding an electronic camera today, as perhaps it would have been years ago, but the composition is still there. How he composes his picture, how he handles the camera, the movement or not movement, and there's still basic composition is, as it's run through his personality or hers, is what makes the difference. And not the electronics over the film, or not the different kinds of, I mean, cameras today are so tiny, and they're the ability for that to move through a small helicopter flying overhead, or how it's handled. What you put in the picture, as far as the composition is concerned, those rules are ancient.
Yeah, I see. What do you think? What is your? I know that you have two beautiful daughters and a great wife, your beloved wife, Iris. Iris, you came together 5 years ago in Greece and 𝘂𝗄𝗄. But your daughters are very modern. I'm sure that they use their mobile to make small videos. So what is your opinion for the young people who make videos using their mobile? How professional this can be, or it is you don't like this process at all? What is your opinion?
Just the very fact that the camera is so small today, as against how heavy, how big things that you held on your shoulder. Just the fact that has changed will change the way it appears on the screen. You know, as you just the movement. It moves very easily, and like I say, something as small as a cell phone, you can fly it in small helicopters today. And so today, the films that you're seeing, nearly all of them, are using some of that ability to put the camera way up high and look down upon the subject. And so you're seeing lots of viewpoints from high in the air today that you wouldn't have seen 50 years ago. So it certainly, the size of the source for that lens is making a big difference in what you're seeing. And if you're thinking about it as you're watching modern movies today, you're almost certain to see great shots from high above, whether it's mountains or roadways or just an unusual view of people from above, seen from high up. That's making a big difference, and that will continue to be part of the new look of what we're seeing in the future, whatever's around the corner that we don't see yet. They've got cameras, especially in medicine, that will go inside the body and see everything
Exactly.
inside the body.
So, Bill, I would like to share with us some of your experience with the big filmmakers like Spielberg and Coppola. What do you keep? What is the best experience you got working with these great auteurs?
Well, obviously, it's been a great experience working with Spielberg and Coppola, and it happens to be my forte of working with first-time directors, the first-time feature directors, which is the case with Coppola. It was Rain People, and worked on Jaws with Spielberg, obviously, and that has been certainly a great experience. But for me, it was getting to know what was inside of their, what they wanted to do, what they were trying to accomplish. In the case of Spielberg, he was after truth. And so people remember the Jaws being about sharks, and you always hear them talk about sharks, but what the film was really about was about truth. And if you're a filmmaker and you want to learn something about that picture, you must first of all realize how important truth is. Any truth, some truth in any film, any script, truth is important to the actor, the director, and should be for the cinematographer. I cannot overemphasize that. That's what you should be looking for. And
what do you mean by saying truth? What do you mean? Can you explain more this, please?
There's different ways to talk about truth. So I'm not talking about the truth, the one and only greatest truth above all. I'm talking about a truth, a small truth, any truth, more than just the truth of the moment, but it's important. It's actors. An actor that has to read a line, if it doesn't ring true, he can't deliver the line properly. So he's looking for the truth all the time, the truth in the dialogue that he's reading at the moment, and of course as it affects the character. But the basic truth in the script, or the basic truth that the director is after, and for my experience, I had to find out what it was the actor wanted to do. What was he really after? What was he trying to say over and above the obvious in the script? What truth in the script is he looking for? I had to find that in each case, and I've had maybe 20, maybe 30 first-time directors. It became my challenge to lead them through the minefields. And so that I spent my career mostly with first-time directors, Coppola being one of the great ones, of course, because he's an absolute genius, great writer, as well as a director.
What is your advice to the young filmmakers and the cinematographers, apart to have to find the truth behind the elements of their film, their script, and the composition of the picture? What else do you advise them? And what is your opinion about the distribution? How they can act? What they must do in order to get distribution now in these days?
That's a tough one, isn't it?
I don't know. Every beginning, it's a tough beginning.
No, I'm only joking. No, that's really the test, isn't it? Of who you are as a filmmaker, and will affect your success or failure in the films that you do. And strangely enough, it's as important to the cinematographer as it is to the director or the actors. And I don't know how you go about getting to the point where you can find that. I mean, your success in looking for it depends. Like, for instance, in Jaws, I knew right away, immediately. I didn't have to have someone come and tell me, or I didn't have to look for it. I knew immediately that Spielberg was after truth. And the way I knew that was because he insisted that the studio shoot on the open ocean, not on the back lot. And the minute I heard that, I knew what he was after. He was after the truth in his film. And the truth was, in Jaws, the truth was that everybody was lying about the shark attacks all over the world. There was this buddy-buddy relationship between all of the editors of all the newspapers all over the world, not to mention shark attacks because it would affect the business of the people at that particular part of the world. In their vacation, people were coming to their beaches. And so they were lying. And after Jaws, that all changed. Today, you hear shark attacks wherever they occur, and they're much more reliable, much more truth. So when I'm saying you're looking for the truth in Jaws was there. And that isn't what you usually talk about. They talk about the shark all the time, but the truth of the movie, the truth in the movie was about the guy who published the newspaper locally. That's what it was about. And you don't hear people talk about that. But that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying you need to look for the truth in any film that you're doing. What truth, what small truth are they looking for? That's what you have to look for in the script, whether it's Coppola or Spielberg or Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. You worked also with Prince, right? Can you talk a bit about this experience?
Prince was one of the most unusual people that I had the good fortune of working for. He started with another cameraman, and he and the other cameraman didn't get along too well. I think the other cameraman had a little bit too much to drink each day. So
Okay.
but Prince was most unusual because he was a highly talented musician who was trying to make movies. And so the very first day that I replaced the other cameraman, I went up to say hello to him, and he just walked straight past me and said, "Chill." So as I was getting my meters and stuff together to go home because I was going to leave, if the director didn't say hello to me, there wasn't much point in my being there. But before I could get out the rear door, that all changed, and he was absolutely great to work with. But it didn't start out that way, because he had a lot of black people that he wanted to see on screen, and he wanted to do it without light. He wanted it black on black, and that's kind of tough. And so it really was whether or not I had the ability to give him the look he wanted, which was dark, with a lot of musicians and people that were black. It was tough that first day was very tough. But I did it.
Sorry. Go on.
No, once he saw the screen and saw what I accomplished in between using the right amount of light in the right places, it was after he saw the screen that he was friendly and easy to get along with. Highly talented man. We became good friends, but it took a while. It was in the doing.
He was asking about your opinion about his clothes, his appearance.
Oh, he had a lady making his clothes. She was a genius. She was brilliant. She made him some of the most unusual clothes I've ever seen. So I've never seen anybody with as much talent in the costume department, and I've known a lot of very good ones. But she was a genius. She come up with this stuff for him every day. She was come up to him with a new idea, and of course he encouraged it. He made it possible. He was great with the costumes, and he would dance in high-heeled shoes on top of a taxi cab, the roof of a taxi cab. He would dance. How he did that without falling off and killing himself, I do not know, but I was there and photographed it. That was my only job.
He should be standing up for you in order to capture his dance over the cab.
Yeah, that really was the job. The job's entirely different when you're working for someone like Prince, who comes up with the wildest ideas with no sense of filmmaking that you normally find. He was just fun to work with because he would work all day long on a film with the rest of us. So we're there all day long, dancing, singing, exhausting work for all of us. And him especially, with dancing and singing, was physically exhausting. When we quit and all go home, he would stay up all night. And as we came to work the next day, he would just be going up the road to a farmhouse, which he had about a mile away from his studio. He had his own studio. So he would be going up to the farmhouse and he'd get an hour's sleep while we set up and come back to work and do the same thing over again on the next day. How do you get that kind of energy? I have no idea. I mean, I saw him do it day in and day out, but he was driven by this creative mind that he had. He couldn't stop.
You have been very creative and inventive, I think. How did you manage to do the shooting in the water, in 𝘄𝗄𝗄𝗃? I think there was no equipment existing that time appropriate for this kind of shooting. How did you manage to do that, underwater shooting?
Well, the important thing that I did on 𝘄𝗄𝗄𝗃 was the first time ever that a feature motion picture on the ocean was shot without a gimbal. A gimbal is a very heavy, hard to move tripod that has a heavy weight in the center of it that keeps the camera level, even though the ship is rocking back and forth. And I discovered on my own, out on the Pacific Ocean, that you could hand hold the camera and use your knees on the boat and keep the camera level without all this equipment. And so when we started to shoot 𝘄𝗄𝗄, in my interview with Spielberg, and I had shot film with Spielberg before, so it wasn't a very heavy duty interview. We didn't talk about very much, but I did start to mention to him about the handheld camera idea. And when I mentioned handheld, he was thinking, of course, handheld on land, which is jumpy and wobbly. He said, no. He says, I want everything on a tripod. And I said, well, I thought to myself, let's don't discuss it now. I wanted the job. I wanted to shoot 𝘄𝗄𝗄𝗃 for him. So I said, I'll just let it pass. And I did. So when I got on the ocean and I showed him what I was talking about, immediately, being brilliant as he was 28 years old, you realize. I was in my 40s. So here you have a 40-year-old man trying to work out of the mind of a 28-year-old on 𝘄𝗄𝗄𝗃, 24 when I first started with him, but 28-year-old person, the ability to think on that level, of course, is what was partly what made it work. And when he saw what it meant to be handheld, of course, we did 90% of our shooting handheld. And that's the first time that had ever been done on the water.
Excellent, excellent. I have one question, Bill, for you. Do you think that the filmmaker should work in a specific genre and to be expert in this specific genre, or should try more genres? What is your opinion, and why?
And in filmmaking, you get stamped. My personal stamp was that I was good leading new directors through the minefield of their first film. For some reason, I had an innate ability to lead them through the minefields, being perhaps older than they were, helped usually, because most of them were younger than I was a little bit, but I got typecast for that. And in Hollywood, you get typecast very quickly. So to compete with that, I didn't want to get typecast as somebody who shot just on water, because that was an easy one. So to prevent that, I tried to shoot some musicals. I tried to shoot comedies. I tried to do dramas. And I fortunately got all of them. But what I couldn't escape was shooting with first-time directors. And so I have shot with so many first-time directors that it would astound you if I mentioned all of them. And it would take the rest of the review.
I understand. I understand. There is something in your life that you regret about, and what you are proud about.
Well, like I was in Coppola's office in San Francisco after I'd finished shooting with him on something, and he had a book, and he says, "You want to do this?" And they threw it across the table at me, and so Apocalypse Now was the script that he was throwing across the table at me. And it was based on a book that he says, "Have you read this?" And I said, "No, I'll take it and I'll read it." I regret not what I should have just said yes.
Okay, all
So
right.
I made a lot of those kind of mistakes. There was a time when he felt that I would be good on directing things like Star Wars and stuff like that. So he invited me to his house up in the vineyard, and it was a Sunday afternoon, and another actor was there too. What I didn't realize was that he was going to offer me, or was going to encourage me to become a director for his friend, do Star Wars type pictures, and not a bad combination, because I would have been the right kind of director for that. But just before it was over, he says, "You don't know who you are, do you?" That was a heavy duty one, and he was absolutely right. And so I didn't want to overstay my welcome. And so I said goodbye and left at the same time the actor did. I didn't stay and hear him out. It wasn't until later that I realized what it was he was going to offer me. Well, I don't know. My relationship with the actors is one of the things that I have left with me, having had these experience with so many great actors. And Bobby Duvall was one of the early ones. He was in Coppola's Rain People. Bobby did a scene once in which he carried in the story, he carried his wife out of a burning building and laid her on the ground, and he looked down at her. And so I had a camera on the ground photographing this, and he did absolutely nothing. There was nothing on his face. Now it was all inside. He didn't give out anything. And so when the shake was over, I turned to him. I said, "Well, you want to try something else? Well, you didn't say anything. You can do anything. You got another? Is there another choice? I'll take another shot." And he chewed me out so that I will never forget it, because what he was showing me was less is more. He had done the very best take that he could make, and that was to do nothing. And I learned from him, as I have learned from other actors in other occasions, less is more. And I learned the meaning of that word. So, I think the great experiences through all of it, after, it's all behind me now, It's the relationship with so many highly talented people. Like Jack Nicholson, I shot his first film as a director, and then I shot Cuckoo's Nest with him. And I mean, we become very, very good friends. And the many, many good, highly talented people that I have become friends with, that's pretty great.
We are so honored that you support the festival for the last 5 years, and you watch the films of the first-on filmmakers. I appreciate this very much. Before we close, Bill, would you like to tell us more about your daily life? How do you spend? How do you like to spend the day from the morning until night?
Like, what do I do now that I am not shooting pictures? At the moment, I'm painting in my spare time because there is the constant urge to do something, to make something new, different, to express yourself, whether you're building something out of wood or painting. And so I paint. I'm not a great painter, but I paint abstract pictures nearly every day. So I have to stay busy doing things like that. I wrote a book about a lot of experiences in my life, not about film, but outside of the film, the feature motion picture business, other types of films and stuff that I've done in my lifetime. And I wrote a book about that.
Okay. Apart from the painting, Bill, what is, do you plan something for the near future?
The things that I'm painting right now are very abstract, very forms and shapes and, abstract. I did a series of paintings in which I did flowers and guns and shapes and colors all together, but I enjoy the look of guns. I don't own a gun even, but I have friends who collect guns, and so I did some paintings of.
You live in the country, right? Do you go for walks in the country?
That's embarrassing. I should, yes. And I do when if I'm doing what I should do, I would take walks. I live in the forest among the trees, and I live in the country. I don't live in the city. So I live on the side of a lake, and it is one of the biggest lakes west of the Mississippi, the biggest one actually. And the water drains down off of Glacier Park and runs past the front of my house. So as I'm standing on the lake, looking across the lake, I'm looking at the Continental Divide. In other words, they call it the Rocky Mountains here, but it is a Continental Divide that starts in Canada, goes all the way through the United States. And I can look to the left and to the right and see with nothing in the way, because it's a lake in front of me, not treetops, but a lake. I can see that for hundreds of miles of the Continental Divide. So that's a very unusual viewpoint from the front of my lakeside house.
And you enjoy that. Okay, Bill, do you want to share something else with us right now before we finish our small conversation?
Is there something that I want to say?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I just I just am thrilled at the wonderful films that people are submitting to the festival. The only thing I want to say is that the work is extremely good. They're getting better every year. People are submitting films and learning from one another. I'm just thrilled that all of the basic things that make a good motion picture work are still going into these films, that individuals are able to pull together, get the actors, get the stories, and some of them have features in them that obviously, to get the number of people to work on, to pull all of these people, all of this together and submit it at your festival, it amazes me that people are able to do this, because I know how much work is involved. So I think you should be very, very proud of the films that you're getting. And I'm very thrilled about that and happy for you.
Thank you very much. Also, this year we have another challenge, a new challenge. We do the festival virtually. So we are going to arrange a lot of webinars on internet, and we are going to get connected in internet from the 5 continents, filmmakers that cannot travel to come to Cyprus because of the pandemic. We are going to meet virtually. And yesterday we found out that the government in Cyprus said that for the coming month, the theaters are going to operate with half capacity, 50% capacity. So we are going to have also public screening simultaneously. So yeah, a lot of challenges this year.
Well,
yeah.
Good things in the future. Well, I'm looking
Yes.
forward to it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. So yeah, this is a great motivation for us to continue, that you want to watch more films next year.
I'm happy that we have this ability to talk to one another with half the world apart.
Exactly. So thank you so much being with us today, and spirit-wise and life-wise. And we wish you all the best. Be healthy and strong as you are, and give us inspiration to be creative, and to do films.
Well,
thank you so much.
That is really the joy of all of this business, is sharing with people, with creative people all over the world. And that is really the plus. That's the payoff to being in this business.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.